you know, the reality is we're going to do this in an hour. We're going to find out how to do that in an hour. Okay, so if you don't have papers, collect papers, make sure that you have them. I'm going to repeat from the other day who I am. My name is Pam Scarfone, and I actually traditionally trained as an occupational therapist, and I worked in traditional rehab medicine for over 20 years. And I started into alternative medicine as a result of my own psychotherapy practice. I was really undergoing hypnosis and EMDR for PTSD symptoms. And during the EMDR, I started having mediumistic and past life experiences. And as I said the other day, fortunately, my therapist had the good sense not to put me on psychotropic medications, but sent me off to work with reputable intuitives and mediums. And there are some out there. They're not here, but okay, so that's how I started to do this healing work. And my experiences of studying alternative medicine just evolved into this practice. And I felt that I was at the point in my practice that I wanted to share the efficacy of it in working with people with addictions and almost any other condition. So the techniques that I'm going to show you today, you can use with anybody. My paper presentation was on energetic variance with addiction, so it was specific treatments towards addictions. Today, I'm not doing that workshop, so if you do want to have questions specifically, how do I do this with my, heroin addict, then let me know after. We'll find a time in between some break or something. But today, all I'm going to explain to you is that intuition is natural, normal, everybody has it, the brain is hardwired to do it. Okay, so I loved Gary Nixon's workshop. If you didn't get there, you can read his stuff. He basically talks about narcissism. And so when I first started doing channeling, and people said, oh, you're a channel. So I got to feel kind of special. And then I loved talking about how important it is to let go of narcissism, because I'm no different than you, nor are any of the channels that I've met any different than me. So I liked Gary's work in that respect. I started teaching channeling because it's so much fun, and when you do it, your therapy is going to become joyful instead of challenging and, at times very like, oh no, what am I going to do with this person? So, you're going to be just guided, and it's going to be, as healing for you as it is for them. That's what I found. So, when I started teaching, most of the people that I started teaching instantly are channeling. So I expect today you'll all do the same. And then what I realized was, I'm not that great, because just like everybody else. And that's what Gary's talking about, is that we're all the same, we're all one, and that's spirituality, is finding the connectedness that we all have. Okay, so we're going to do it. So are there any questions so far at this point, what you're getting into? No. All right. So here's the deal. How do you invoke a state of grace, which is such a big word that Carolyn misuses? And, there's all this controversy about how much you should meditate and how you should do it and who you should do it with and what capacity. And the reality is all you have to do is quiet your mind. Quiet your mind. So that's all we're going to do, is quiet our minds. And then what I have discovered is that you get what you ask for. So I'm going to teach you to ask questions. So you ask a question, and you're going to go from there. You're going to have more questions than you have answers for, and you just connect that way. So what we're going to do basically a guided meditation. The guided meditation is to bring your consciousness into another area of your being. So your energy body and your chakras. So we're going to align them and activate them and just basically bring our consciousness to the energy body. You can hear me still? Yeah. So who knows what chakras are? Okay, good, a lot. Don't worry if you don't, because I'm going to tell you what they are as we go along. So we're going to go on a journey. We're going to open our chakras. We're going to open our mind, our crown. We're going to let go of all our worries. Here's one of the most important things you're going to learn in 1 hour. You have to let go of your ego. So hard. It's the hardest thing. So yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. If you have ego, then you have an agenda. So when you decide to start using this in your practice, you have constant rechecking of your ego. I'm going to tell you where you can leave it, when you can pick it up, because we all need it when we go out the door. But when you're in session and you're actually calling on a higher power or universal consciousness or the collective unconscious or God or your angels or guides or fairies or whatever you want to call them, and I don't care what you call them, then you're going to have to keep leaving the ego outside in order to do that. Okay? Just keep checking. Oh, wait a second. Was that me? Did I do that? So that's all you're going to do. After we do our guided meditation, you're going to trust, another hard one. So we're leaving the ego, and then we trust. So that's why channeling is hard. Really, I mean, trust, right? Who does that? And I had a client recently come in, sit down, and I was talking about him in my lecture. He was a sex addict, drug addict, and alcoholic. And he said, I think this is crap, and I'm really skeptical. And I said, yeah, me too. Like, you have to every time, every client, every moment, sort of check in. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go through that, and you can see it's all right in your paper. You don't have to write anything down. And this process that I'm giving you is my process. You could go to another person who teaches channeling. They could give you another process. You, in fact, could invent your own process. There's no right or wrong in this. It's how do you get to a clean place. And it's Nancy, right? She's a great person to talk to about that. So you can develop your own process. And it's very interesting because Carolyn Miss, who is a phenomenal channel, doesn't do anything. She says, all you people who go around meditating and channeling and doing yoga, she says, this is so silly, She's very opinionated, and she says this is very silly. All you have to do is sit quietly and ask for a state of grace. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. So this process I'm giving you could take us about half an hour. 10 o'clock, right? Okay. I'm going to move through it really quickly, and then we're going to work. So normally when I'm teaching this, I would sort of prepare a group, really get their energy in a place where it's open and, connecting and moving. And we're going to do it like this because you guys are great. And then we're going to work. So after that, you're going to work in pairs, and you need to sit with someone you don't know. It's very hard to do channeling for somebody you know because you know everything. So you need to sit with someone you don't know. And then we're going to work. So if there are a couple people who have to leave early, sit with the other person who has to leave early. So is there anybody who has to leave early? Anybody else? You might have to leave.
It's okay, because I have to be here. So,
okay. So just be aware.
Yeah, what time do we finish?
11.
Right?
11. Okay. So there's 2 pages of stuff you're supposed to do. And I'm kind of laughing because I don't do it anymore. I'm as bad as, Pema Chodron, who I think you should all read. She's a great Buddhist monk, and she talks about meditation, and she said, if I could only do it properly, and she's teaching it. So it's kind of funny because I'm sort of the same in that respect, that this is what, I'll tell you I started off doing, but it's only a tool to get where you want to go, and I don't really do all this anymore. I mean, I do it, but I do it in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds isn't the best. I mean, if you ask me in the hall, then I'm going to do it in 30 seconds. But if I prepare for a client, and if you're preparing for a client and you want to do this, you need 20 minutes. You need 20 minutes to prepare for your client, just sitting and doing this. So when I started off, before a client got there, I spent a half an hour or 40 minutes preparing myself for my client. Now I can sit and I can do that in about 5 minutes, okay? But ideal for me is 20 minutes. For you, it could, you're going to maybe need to spend 20 minutes also. Okay? So everybody who's writing can stop writing. I am going to start talking softly, so I hope it's okay for the tape. But, you know, what I'm asking you to do is invoke a trance state in yourself. So, when people do channeling, what they do is they dream awake. And when you dream, you change the cycles per second in your brain. And we're going to dream awake right now, and we're going to have the cycles per second in our brain change. So if I'm talking very, very loudly, that will not happen. Okay? So, yes, question, good. This is your last chance.
If you talk any quieter, I won't be able to hear you at all.
Yeah, that's great.
That's not so great.
It's okay. Trust. See that I'll trust.
And read your lips.
You're going to close your eyes. I'm going to stand near you.
Okay.
So do you understand? I'm in an energy field. I'm creating an energy field. I'm asking for a state of grace. I'm asking for my guides and my helpers to come and be with me. And so there's no worry. When I stand near somebody, I'm going to be in their field and you're going to be in mine. Okay? So close your eyes. Put your feet flat on the floor. Breathe deeply. The breath is key. And I will promise you that most of your clients do not know how to breathe. And if you do anything after this workshop but teach your client how to breathe, you will have a permanent impact on their life. So deep breathing means we're going to breathe in through our belly. Lower part of your abdomen gets to stick out. Our culture says it's supposed to be in, you're just going to let it stick out. You want to breathe through the middle of your body and through the upper chest. Full, deep breaths. The first breath you go, oh God, I wish you'd hurry up. The second breath, you go, what's my neighbor doing? Third breath, I want you to think about peace. And I'm going to teach you something very important about breathing. It's not the inhalation and the exhalation that's important, but the space in between. Because the space in between is where we connect. So I'm going to help you learn to breathe, and then we're going to go from there. Inhale deeply for a count of 4. For linear people, please do not get frustrated if you can't inhale for a count of 4, and then exhale for a count of 4. Doesn't matter if you do it right, just a guideline. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Continue breathing without counting, without worrying if you're doing it correctly. I just want you to have consciousness that the pause between the breath is very important. We're going to ground ourselves. We're going to imagine tree roots running through our legs. They're going into the earth's surface, down through the rock and the dirt, deeper through the earth's layers to the very center of the earth, touching the molten fire of the core. The fire can form a ring of protection around you now. Grow the tree up through your feet and your calves and your legs, your abdomen, your arms, your neck and your head. So you're completely grounded into the earth through this beautiful tree. I am safe and protected in the light and love of God. I am safe and protected in the light and love of God. I surround myself with the white light of divine love and energy. I surround myself with the white light of divine love and energy. I surround myself with the white light of divine love and energy. I want you to bring your awareness to the first chakra. This is the area between your legs and the perineal area. I want you to imagine a very large ball of red light radiating in this area. I have an abundance of strength and energy. I express my individuality in a divine, perfect way. I accept this truth. Move your consciousness up into the second chakra. This is the area below your belly button, the seat of your sexuality and creativity. I feel balanced desire, sexuality, and creativity. See here a spinning ball of orange light, a large vortex of creative energy, vital life force. Moving up into your third chakra. This is the area of the solar plexus. I can always have the power and will to achieve my goals. See a beautiful, bright yellow light spinning in the area of your solar plexus. I can always have the power and will to achieve my goals. Accept this truth. Move the energy up into the area of your heart chakra. Imagine here a beautiful, brilliant green light spinning very fast, bigger and bigger, brighter and brighter. I am love, loving, and beloved. I am love, loving, and beloved. Accept this truth now. Moving up into the throat chakra. This is the area of your throat, which is a bright blue light. Imagine this light growing brighter and brighter, opening your throat, accepting truth, the seat of your communication of your essence. I communicate effectively and create from a knowingness unique unto my being. I communicate effectively and create from a knowingness unique unto my being. Accept this truth now. Moving up into the area of your sixth chakra, this is your third eye, the seat of your intuition and perception. This is in the center of your forehead. Imagine here a beautiful indigo light growing brighter and bigger. I see and perceive all things clearly. Intuition is my guide, speaking directly to me. I see and perceive all things clearly. Intuition is my guide, speaking directly to me. Accept this truth now. Move your energy up into the crown chakra, the top of your head. This is the seat of wisdom and understanding and connection to the higher power. Open your crown and allow your connection to be real. You see here a beautiful violet light expanding out of your crown. I know the wisdom and understanding I seek always comes into my consciousness upon my request. I know the wisdom and understanding I seek always comes into my consciousness upon my request. Accept this truth now. Accept this truth now. Moving up away from your crown chakra, you'll be in a column of white light that extends down around your whole body. You're moving up with this white light, a beautiful, brilliant white light. Here you'll come to a room with a door. And outside this door there's a box. In this box you place your ego, your worries, your thoughts, your troubles, your pain, everything you want to just sort of put aside, you can put it there. Go into the room, and in this room there's a window or windows of your design and a switch. I want you to open those windows and turn on the switch and take a seat and ask for your guide to be present with you in that room. It does not matter if you see something or somebody. Just know that there's a presence in the room here to assist you. You who are the source of all power, whose light illuminates the earth, illuminate also my heart, so I too may do your work. You who are the source of all power, whose light illuminates the earth, illuminate also my heart, so I too may do your work. You who are the source of all power, whose light illuminates the earth, illuminate also my heart, so I too may do your work. Now you're going to remain connected until the end of the session. But what I want you to do is gently bring your consciousness also back to this room. So slowly in your own time, return to the room. Gently, gently back. Gently back. When you're ready, open your eyes. Gently back. Okay, everybody's back. So, I'm going to continue teaching, and you're in your place. And so there's an understanding that you've set yourself up to do some intuitive work, and you're going to go sort of back to that place when we're ready to work, okay? All right. So, do I need to explain clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience? Clairvoyance. Does everybody know what clairvoyance is? Clairaudience. Okay, no. Did you say no also for clairvoyance? Should I explain them all?
Yes.
Okay. Clairvoyance, clear seeing. Clairaudience, clear hearing. Clairsentience, clear feeling or knowing. You just suddenly sort of feel like you know something. That's what it is in the most simple format. And I said the other day that the unfortunate part with the terminology is that's never really very clear. It's real more like cloudy knowing, cloudy seeing, cloudy hearing. So,
What did you call the third one?
clairsentience, which it could also be sort of clear knowing, or you just have a feeling about something. So you can experience in your work with your client, and today, any of those three. The trick that you have in doing this kind of work is, one, having a connection with your higher self or your guide or whatever you see in that room or feel or imagine. And it is true that people with certain religious tendencies tend to see things of their religion. It doesn't matter how it appears to you. As long as you feel connection, the more you develop your connection with that energy, the clearer your channel will be. So the more time you spend in that room in meditation with that person and dialoguing with that energy, or that whatever you want to call it, the easier this will be. Okay? So that's why I said it becomes faster the more that you spend time developing relationship with the energy. Okay? All right. You know, you could, if you don't want to imagine like a certain energy, you could just say your higher self. Okay, that's fine. All right, so when you're working, what you want to pay attention to is, are you having images? Are you having images, which is like clairvoyance. Most people who are like really well-known clairvoyants, sometimes they might see something out here. Most people see in their internal eye, their inner eye. Most people hear through their inner ear. Some people do hear like the person's talking to them, like I'm talking to you, but most people will not hear that way. So when I say, what did you hear? It's really like in your mind's eye or ear, you heard a word that might say truth. I heard the word truth. Well, you don't really hear it out here, you hear it in here, okay? Or I just suddenly felt like I knew this person really needed to look at this issue. Okay? So there's how you're connecting through those three things. And I'm telling you, what I'm teaching you, I take, you know, I have people that are coming and studying with me for 2 years. So this is a crash course, and I want you to have something to go away and work with. Okay? But it is just a, you know, the first step. Okay, so anything else? I have in this paper written here, what is the most helpful and healing information for this person on this day? There's a very famous Native American, his name is Black Elk. One of the first books I ever read was Black Elk Speaks. And he was a tremendous, phenomenal, magical healer. And he did spiritual magic everywhere he went. And in his book, he says, I just ask, what's the most helpful and healing thing for this person? And when I read the book, I was like scratching my head. I mean, that's it? That's all I got to do is ask, what's the most helpful thing? And I thought, all right, I'll try that. And guess what? That's all you have to do is ask that question. That's it. So you can get 1 million books and hear 1 million people speak, and all you have to do is what Black Elk says. And I actually have studied with so many different people, and I don't really have much of an original thought. I can only tell you what works for me. And what you're going to do is take this and anything else you learn and see what works for you. Okay? My way isn't the only way, but Black Elk has a good way, and I like it. So you can use it. That's where that came from. All right. In terms of working with people with addictions and people who are coming in for sort of counseling issues, what is really important to me is getting to the core issue. So we're talking about finding meaning. What's meaningful? Do I have a relationship? Do I have a job? Can I achieve? Can I accept myself? All this stuff. And I go past that because I have had people come in to see me who have been in therapy somewhere between 2 and 7 years. 7 years is the longest time I've seen somebody who's been in psychotherapy and is spinning their wheels. So when somebody comes in, you're kind of thinking, I'm going to put myself out of a job. That's the reality. You're going to put yourself out of work because it's fast and it works. So you have a couple of questions you're going to work through with the person, and your goal is for self-empowerment of your client. So the client becomes empowered in doing this on their own, and you don't have to work so hard. So the question that I'm asking are right there on the paper. What is the spiritual significance of the client's suffering? Is there any specific age that would be helpful to revisit in healing the issue? Are there any other healing strategies that are needed? So these are some of the most core questions that I always ask, and I look at what is the karmic significance of what's going on? What is the karmic significance of the complaint? Whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, eating disorder, relational problems. What is the karmic significance? And there tends to be themes in these issues. And then go a little deeper. Well, what is this person's karmic significance? What is their soul evolution? And what we're looking at here is soul growth. And I had a discussion with somebody earlier, and I said, Spirit doesn't really care if you accept, achieve, find meaning, relate, go to AA. They don't care. What they care is if you evolve your soul, your spirit guides, your angels, whatever you imagine them to be, want you to evolve. Or otherwise, if you have any Eastern philosophy, you have to come back and do it again. And it isn't that much fun if you've been an alcoholic or whatever to come back and do that over. So there are significant karmic themes that have to be worked through. And it is true. You can work them through without having community, connection, interaction, intimacy. You can. Because they're higher issues. And it doesn't have to feel good. Spirit doesn't really care if you're happy. They want you to evolve. They want you to evolve. So you're, as a therapist, finding yourself in quite a different place. Your job isn't really to make this person happy, but to empower them in their karmic crap. And it is crappy. Because I've met people whose path ahead of them is going to be shit from the minute I saw them to the last day I see them. I can tell. I look, I say, you got a bad deal. You got a bad hand here. You know, you got dealt this hand, and all I can do is help you to work with it. That's it. You know, I have other people come in, and I see, wow, you got a good thing ahead of you, and you just have to do da-da-da. It's unfortunate, but it is the way that it is. There's a karmic blueprint there. So some people are going to, you know, have an easier path than others. That's the story. It isn't fair. So, that's what you're looking at. Are there any questions about that? Oh, you guys are good. Yes?
You have to believe that they have this work.
Do you have to believe that they have this work?
Yeah. You have a certain connection to Eastern philosophy and karma. And
Do you have to believe in reincarnation? No. Do you have to believe in your work? Well,
No, not in your work. That particular philosophy from whence you come.
no, you do not. You do not have to believe in reincarnation or anything like that. All you're believing in is in the possibility of self-healing. Because really, even as a healer, when I'm putting my hands on people, I really think, well, I'm just really kind of empowering them to heal themselves. You know, the innate ability to channel, the innate ability to heal, it's within. And if you read Deepak Chopra, and you read Carolyn Myss, and you read Louise Hay, and you read all these people who are very reputable, big-name people in the field, they'll tell you it's inside of us. You know, because if we all come from the God source, if we're all one, if you want to believe any of that, you can. And if that's all true, then we have also that power within us. You know? So it's certainly helpful to believe that somebody can help us along. I believe that.
Why do you keep saying that of various pieces of this is hard?
What's hard? What did I say was hard? Remind me.
You said it several times. This takes a long time. This is a hard part of life. This is hard.
What, in terms of what I was talking about a client?
You've been saying it each several
Wait,
times.
somebody give me help me out. I don't know who's asking me.
When you said about clients that their path would be difficult and that their shit's going to be...
Right. Particular person I was talking about. So a client came in, and I happened to read them energetically because I'm doing intuitive work, and I could see that they had a lot of difficult things ahead of them on their path. So instead of telling them I could fix them, heal them, change it, recreate it, all I could tell them is I can help you, support you through that, because it isn't going to go away. Now, some people will come in and you will see difficult challenges, but they're not forever. This one person in particular had a difficult path. That's what I'm saying. It was that one person. Most people that I see, she's actually probably the only person that I've seen that had that sort of really tough path. Most people I see have, a challenge here, and then they go along and they grow, and a challenge here, and then they go along and they grow. She had fibromyalgia and chronic pain, and I didn't see that going away. And I didn't want to promise her that it would, because I couldn't. I don't promise people that I'm going to fix them.
Some might say that you're setting up a self-fulfilling prophecy when you tell them that their path is going to be a tough one for a long time, or forever. Forever in terms of their time on the planet.
Could be.
Does that make a positive, not a suggestion?
It could be. It could be. So when you start receiving information, and Nancy will tell you this, it's really important you go back and you check yourself out. And is this my story or theirs? Is this my agenda or theirs? I mean, it's very controversial because in psychotherapy, you sit back and you let the person discover. And you can do past life regression that way. Brian Weiss is really well written. He wrote Many Masters, Many Lives, and he has a technique where he guides the person through a process of past life regression. If you're channeling and you see someone's past life, you're trusting something that isn't necessarily the client's. And you have to tell people, be discerning. If this doesn't resonate with you, then don't deal with it. I'm teaching you something that is pretty controversial. You know, it's not in connection with traditional psychotherapy practices. But what I can tell you is that it's fast. Can I tell you that I've made mistakes? Probably. Well, what would I say my accuracy is when I'm doing a reading with somebody? I would say my goal is about 80%. And I tell people 20% of what I say is probably wrong. Which 20%? You tell me. How's your life going? What I said, did it help? Did it heal? Did it change? Is your life different? And I will tell you that the drug addicts and the heroin addicts and the sex addicts that I'm working with are healing. And they're healing rapidly. And they're stopping their drugs and their sexual compulsiveness. And I can only tell you what my experience is with that. With somebody with chronic pain, I would love to say to them, I can fix you, I can heal you. I think I would have been more wrong to say that than what I did say. When you're receiving information, you are not in charge. So that means you put your ego aside whether you think you're right or wrong, or whether it's scary or not scary, or sounds good or not. And a lot of times I say things that I think, God, this sounds insane. What am I saying? I have this sex addict who I say, your right and left sides of your body are separated, and we're going to integrate them, and this is how we're going to do it. And I think, God, this guy's going to walk out. And he's like, oh, okay, I get that. He's a 54-year-old successful executive, and he's zipping himself up and integrating his two sides, and he hasn't had sexual acting out since. I can't explain that, and I would love those researchers to come in and do it. I can tell you it works. Does that work with everybody? No. Where did I get that information? I asked. What does this guy need? Does he need what you need? No. She needed that. She needed to know. She's looking outside of herself for answers for everything, and she needed to know it was her thing to deal with. She's not going to get what she needs outside of herself. So that's why that was something that I said to her. That is pretty controversial, actually. I'm controversial. Oh no, I'm so scared. So when you get doing this, you're going to be scared. And what happens if you're scared? I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to What are you doing? Ego. Narcissism. I got to get it all right. I got to look right. I got to know everything. Well, that's bullshit. Who knows everything? You're going to get it wrong. Forget about it. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to screw up. You're going to make a mistake. So join the crowd.
Yeah, but can I say something? I think the problem is that either the channel and the client, when they go to a channel, they are looking for the truth sometimes.
Yes, well, it's your job to be discerning about that.
And then sometimes I have lots of spirits sometimes to deal with channels. And sometimes they think that they are saying the truth. And
Okay,
there are
I'm going
lots
to tell
of-
you something. I can't spend all day talking about this, or you guys will never do anything. And the only way you're going to know is by doing it. That's the only way you are going to know, is by doing it. And you can say, this isn't for me, because it isn't for everybody. This is not an easy path for me to be on and standing around talking to a bunch of people with a lot of licenses that this works. This isn't that great of a fun thing. You know, people sit there, go, you're nuts. So the thing is, you got to do it, you got to try it, you got to feel it, and it's not for everybody. What you should also do is work with other people before you work with your client. If you have somebody who comes in who's suicidal and has no supports and has no, you know, they're borderline personality, or they're disintegrated, or whatever they are, or they're high risk, why would you do that? Now, I'm trusting that you're licensed professionals and you assess people. You know their level of stability, you know their capabilities, you know their supports, their values, their interests. You don't take this to somebody who is a, you know, a devout Hasidic Jew. You might, but he might think you know, I'm leaving now. So, you know, you're taking into context their social environment, their religious environment, their family. You know all this. So this is boring. You know all that. So I'm trusting all you people that have been trained to do your job. You know, you're not going to walk in and just do this with anybody, especially somebody suicidal or very vulnerable or very dependent. You have to make some clinical judgments here, right? 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 Everybody's good? Okay. All right. I want to tell you one story, and then we're going to work because we're running out of time. I have a kid who comes to me, he has Tourette's. I never saw anybody with such bad Tourette's in my life. Tourette's. So he lies on the table, and his face does this, and his stomach, in isolation of the rest of his body, contracts. So this poor kid, he's 8, just lying on the table, twitching all over the place. It's just astonishing. So I thought, I don't know. I'll work on him and see what happens. I can't make a promise. So I'm working on him, and the mother's in the room, and he's twitching, and I'm working and doing my energy healing, and he's twitching, and then this look comes over this kid's face like I never saw in my life. It was like an angel passed over his face. And you know, you can't describe that, okay? So you have to use your imagination. Peace. His body stopped moving. Everything stopped moving. The stomach, the arms, the face, everything stopped moving, and he was floating. And he was probably free for the first time in a long time. Will that stay? I don't know. But what I will tell you, what happened was, I just like looked at him, and I looked at him, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't want to touch him, because he had for a few minutes relief, for just a few minutes. And I left him there, and he did not open his eyes. This is an 8-year-old boy who, you know, you can't get an 8-year-old boy to sit still without a Game Boy. So he didn't move. He stayed on that table. He did not open his eyes. He didn't ask a question or wiggle or move. It was floating. I didn't want to wake him up, but time was passing and passing, and finally I gently touched him on the shoulder, and he opened his eyes and he looked at me, startled. And I said to him, where were you? And he said, I was on an eagle, and I was flying. He's 8. I was flying and flying. And I flew right up to the moon that I could almost touch it. And this is what I'm talking about. You can't measure that experience. So the thing that was so shocking for me is that one of my first mystical experiences, and you people are studying spirituality and religion, mystical experiences, I had a feeling of like leaving the body and this expansion, and I came right up to the moon in my first mystical experience, which I really felt was a significant day. And I was just with the moon, and I felt oneness with everything. I was so moved. When I came back from that journey, I wrote a poem called I Touched the Moon. I wrote this poem, I Touched the Moon. It wasn't a great poem. It was just about what happened to me. And then this kid looked at me and said, I touched the moon. That was a gift to me. That's what will happen to you. Your client will say something and you will hear a validation. And that's when you know, okay, Something's happening. He could have said anything. He could have said, I went on a roller coaster ride and I got ice cream. But he didn't. He said, I touched the moon. And I knew where he went because I went there. I've been there. So I was like, okay, I needed that. That was for me because I didn't know if I could help this kid. I never saw anybody with such bad Tourette's in my life. And that spirit helping me because I have these questions that you have like, oh, should I do this? Should I not? What am I doing? Self-doubt, self-criticism, self-condemnation, and you'll have it too. And when you're having it, Spirit comes along and they hand you something right on a platter that you just got to go, okay, I'm doing the best that I can. Now I want you to partner up real quick with someone you do not know. Someone, hurry up! Hurry up because we're running out of time.
So I better go.
How much does it
Partner up with someone you do not know. Do not sit close to anybody else because it will be distracting and you'll drive yourself mad. You need to move away to a corner where there's nobody else. If you're with somebody you know, you have to ask them to change. Is he participating? Are you participating? You, in the back, are you participating? Yes? Okay, can you get with a partner then? Okay, you, this group here, you three together, you're too close together. You in the yellow shirt and your friend there, you need to move over there to the front here. It's going to be way too hard for you. If you are clairaudient and you are listening, you are going to have a hard time hearing if all you can hear is your neighbor who has a loud voice. Go into your quiet space. Do not talk to your partner. Do not tell them anything about yourself or who you are or what you do. Do not share your life story. I left you in your room so you would remain connected, and you are, and you have to trust that. You're going to take turns. You have 5 minutes each because we have short time. You're going to close your eyes, or you can look into the person's eyes, whichever suits you. When you look into the eyes, you're looking into the heart, into the human energy field, and more into that person. When you close your eyes, you're connecting more with a higher voice, a higher guidance. When I start, I tend to close my eyes. You can do whatever suits you. Your job is this. One person goes first. Decide who it is. You're going to ask for the most helpful and healing piece of information for this person sitting across from you today. It doesn't have to be their life story. It could be today. You might get, hey, dude, you didn't sleep enough last night, did you? You need to rest more. It could be, a question. You could feel like, do you have joy in your life? It does not matter what comes to you. You could see a dog. You could see an ice cream cone. I don't care what you see. It doesn't matter. You can't, censor it or criticize it or condemn it. You just have to let it to be. So you're going to have a couple minutes. I want you to ask that question and then share it with the person sitting opposite to you. Shared with your partner, I want you to switch. When you have finished sharing with your partner, please switch and have the other person take a turn. To whether your feelings came through your heart or whether they came through a visual image or whether you heard words or phrases. Be aware of how you're connecting with your higher self.
Yeah, I don't know whether I can do it. You know what's happened as soon as we started all the induction is this is throbbing.
Well, that's
I said I saw a throbbing heart at the bottom.
a throbbing heart.
Well, no, what's throbbing is the actual
So I'm picking up the throbbing from it.
So you saw a throbbing heart, though.
Yeah.
Hello. Let's regroup. Yeah, what I just want to say before you ask your question is you guys like doing this because nobody wants to stop, and that's really, really important to notice, is that when we stand in the light, it feels good. So when you stand in the light with your client, you bring them into the light. So when they come to see you and you create that atmosphere, they will also like it. So when you have problems, and they're big problems or they're not coming to you, they seem more manageable because you're standing in the light. It just feels better. Okay, question.
My sort of a comment, but I'd like to respond. My sense is the person that's receiving or channeling might get more out of it even than the person that's being responded to.
Yes. As I said with my example of my Tourette's kid, I mean, he handed me a gift on a plate. I mean, I just walked away and, you know, said, okay, like, God's in my life. And what else can I do? Like, everything else can go, sorry, I get lower and lower. You know, everything else can start to fall apart around us, but then somebody hands you this thing, it will change your practice. It will. Yes?
Just a general comment.
Yes.
I practice this in my counseling, and
Mm-hmm.
trained counselors, I do see, once I see that in counselors, I try to bring them out in that.
Yeah.
But in another way, I struggle with your interpretations, I come from a Christian background, but we're experiencing the same things.
Yes.
So, like, I really have problems with a lot of things that you're saying.
Okay.
The experience process, I totally agree with, and
Right.
it's an interesting.
Right. If you're Christian, you're going to have a Christian bias. If you're Hindu, you're going to have a Hindu bias. If you're Muslim, you're going to have a Muslim bias. And I think that's okay as long as it works for your client. So when we talked about putting the ego aside, it's really important to keep checking that you don't have your own personal agenda or bias influencing what you're getting in terms of guiding your client in their healing process. Because if you're working with a Muslim client or whatever, and your bias is towards a Christian philosophy, you're not going to really be out of the ego. And you can't really do this if we go ego. I mean, there's lots of people that do it, and they make bad reputation by, if you're going from the ego, you can't trust the information.
I guess the point I'm making is that people are struggling with yours. I feel that there is a Christian slant.
Right, which is okay for you, but what about your client?
Yeah.
If your client is not Christian, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What if your client doesn't believe in God or Jesus, and you see Jesus? I see Jesus around you. The guy goes, I don't believe in Jesus. I believe in Allah. Then what are you going to do?
But then if you have a Hindu bias, I'm gonna put a big block on you.
If you have a Hindu bias, which means what?
I have problems with, I just can't do the chakra thing.
The chakras are not Hindu. They're not a Hindu religion. They're considered energy centers of the body. It's sort of like a philosophy. It's not really a religion. So if it's a philosophy you don't believe in, you can do what Carolyn Miss does. She doesn't make you go through your chakras. She says call in a state of grace, which could be for you Mary or Jesus or God or Archangel Michael. A lot of people love to work with Archangel Michael. I'm working with Archangel Michael, and I will tell you something. I have a guide who has a biblical name. He has a biblical name. You say I have a Hindu bias, I work with the guy who has a biblical name. You know why I don't tell people? Because then they have a bias. I have a friend who says, I should tell people who my channel is. And I said, no. Because if I say my channel is this, then I have the Christians going, oh, that's my archangel. And if I say I have that, then if it's Kali, then the Hindus say, oh, she's channeling my goddess, And if I say it's Mother Earth, then I have the Native American population going, yay! So, you know, I don't say who my channel is on purpose, but it is the name that I have for my guide was given to me, and it is from the Bible. Now I'm going to cause a whole big stir of people whether they want to hear from that guy or not. And why don't I tell the name? I don't tell the name because it doesn't matter. It's one energy. It's a name that I was raised Catholic. I'm a Christian, and I never said that. And I don't tell a name because then people are going to identify something with it. And the reason that he has a name is because I needed one. I wanted a name to call him by, and so he gave me one. Is he, you know, Joseph? Is he Archangel Michael? No. It's an energy. It's an energy body that's here to help us. Can you use him? Yeah, I don't own him. You'll see people all over the place who are famous writing books about talking to God, and they have this like private connection to this energy. No. Who I'm talking to, you can talk to. I don't own them. So that's my answer to that question, if it helps. Okay, you've been waiting. Sorry.
I have a little practical question because I already got it. I understand it, the whole conversation, but I work in an agency where I have a client at 4 o'clock, a client at 5 o'clock, a client at 6 o'clock, and you've got that little 10 minutes between time where you say goodbye to one client, you say into another client, and I just practically, how do you get yourself recentered for the next client who's somebody completely different?
You're open all day. If you do what I'm doing, I'm open all day. And that's why you have to practice. It's like running a marathon. If I want to go out tomorrow and see 8 clients back to back with 10-minute break in between, and I have never done that before, I'm going to collapse at the end of the day. If I can't run a mile, I'm not going to go sign up for the New York Marathon. You guys have to, you know, be discriminating in how you start doing your work. If I want to run the New York Marathon, I am going to go and start running a mile today every day for the next month. And then I'm going to run 2 and 5 and 10, and then I'm ready for the marathon. You're not going to do this tomorrow with 8 people. You might pick one. You might pick your daughter. You might pick, you know, 1 a week. I will tell you, you will feel tired. I'm exhausted when I see 6 consecutive people. The most people I've seen in a row is 8, and I'm tired. At the end of that, I'm really tired. And you can't do that all day, every day for a week, unless you practice. Yeah, sorry.
Pamela, you were addressing the issue of clients being put off by what we use. And so we have to be careful. But this gentleman over here was, excuse me, I was just responding to your question that we were talking, Pamela was talking about not wanting to put off the clients. But, and I sense that you were asking about what is therapists who are Christian, who themselves are put off by the whole concept of energy and clairvoyance and et cetera, because I think Christianity has a specific problem in that so many Christians feel that it's negative or demonic to be involved with occult, but if they see it perhaps as fruits of the spirit,
this is a really tough area. I mean, it's not for everybody. You're going to have to be discriminating. It might not, number 1, be for you, and number 2, it might not be for the client.
But I think for therapists, if they see that, well, developing these qualities is like developing fruits of the spirit, which is a common concept in the Bible, that might be very helpful for therapists.
You can apply it in whatever way works for you.
That's why I asked at the beginning, you don't have to believe this stuff for it to work. You can put it in the context.
I just want to ask before everybody runs off, how many people found that they could receive information that was relevant to their partner? Can I have, let's just see. Okay, well, okay, is there anybody who didn't raise their hand? Did anybody not get anything relevant? Nobody. Nobody. So all these technical questions you're asking, they're the mind and the ego. And how you figure that out is up to you. How you apply it, you know, modify it, recreate it, make it palatable, good for you. Go do that, and that's what I want. But look in this room. Nobody in here said to me they didn't get anything relevant. And I didn't do anything. I mean, you guys did it in 1 hour. So pat yourselves on the back. You did a good job. And if anybody has any specific questions, they can catch me after this.